drive by herself and parked next to him. Smitten, he spent the afternoon observing her with friends from a distance. After the Thunderbirds performed and it appeared she was about to leave, he hurried ahead of her to her car and stabbed one of her tires with a knife, then waited patiently to play the role of hero and change her tire. That's how a doomed relationship, born in fraud, was formed. The Rothbones had barely approved of the young man, who the judge thought was more interested in himself than was healthy for a marriage to his daughter, or to any woman for that matter. Noting his future ex-son-in-law's capitalistic ambition, the judge also worried that he was more interested in appearances than true happiness. When Rosemary announced they were moving, the judge was not pleased. No part of him wanted his daughter to move away. That was difficult for him and Mary Margaret Rothbone. The first move was to Atlanta, and then on to Washington, D.C., farther away from the Rothbones. While Rosemary was living in D.C., the judge helped her land a job with Senator Thad Cochran, and she loved being involved in political activities at the highest level. When their grandson was born, however, it was obvious that Rosemary's husband wasn't going to be much help. During their daughter's frequent trips home over the last 5 years, they noticed Rosemary appeared increasingly tired and stressed. They both worried but remained proud of the woman she had become, especially in her role as a mother to young Luke. For decades, the judge sat stoically on the bench listening to awful, depressing stories and irrational decisions. After hearing the pain in his daughter's voice and knowing what her jerk husband had done, he finally understood the desire for revenge. He could see how it would be satisfying. About a month back, she had called and tearfully explained that her husband had left her for a young nurse he had met at one of his clients' offices. Stunned, the Rothbones did what they could to help her get her life back on track, including an unsuccessful attempt by the judge to talk some sense into the husband. They were both excited when Rosemary later called and said she wanted to move home. She missed Mississippi and the slower way of life. She wanted Daddy to instill his values in young Luke. She also wanted him to teach Luke about the outdoors, which was something he completely missed out on in Washington, D.C. She wanted the same community that had been a part of raising her to help raise her son. The judge had endured a rough 6 months and finally had something to smile about. Ever since his wife's diagnosis, their life had been a bundle of doctor's appointments, as they desperately sought an opinion that had a better outcome. He was destined to be alone soon, and Rosemary and his grandson's return made his hurting heart leap. With so much going on at this stage of his life, he applied for senior status so his workload could be lightened. He now had a project. The judge had a young, impressionable mind to shape, instead of punishing deviant ones every day. As the jet loudly rolled to the gate, a lump formed in the judge's throat. He sensed this was a life-changing moment. He placed his arm around his sick wife as they waited for the airplane door to open. The judge felt a sense of guilt that his daughter's sadness could provide him an opportunity to be happy. Jake read the report on the doctor who had been attacked. This was not the sort of event that happened to deer hunters. He couldn't get the story out of his mind as he checked emails, read reports on illegal activities in the northeast Mississippi area, and filled out endless forms explaining his daily activities. He hated the redundancy of the paperwork already. His immediate superior was a ladder-climbing career state government employee who did everything exactly by the book, with painstaking detail. Jake knew he was eventually going to disappoint his boss, because Jake hated details and flew by the seat of his pants. He was a spontaneous reactor and bounced through life dealing with whatever came his way. The Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks had hired Jake in a very untraditional way. He had a friend who was very connected to the governor, and a favor was asked. Elizabeth Beasley's father was extremely appreciative of Jake's efforts to protect his daughter several years ago at the place that now was simply called the Dummy Line. When he learned what Jake was trying to do, he intervened without Jake's knowledge. Never had a candidate been fast-tracked through the approval process like Jake Crosby. Many of the higher-ups